Pascone, CEO of Tailored Wealth and host of the Making Sense of Your Money podcast, real conversations that help high earners make sharper decisions so their money works as hard as they do. This is episode number 53, and today I'm joined by Jeff Glick of OCFO to break down what makes a business truly bankable, why clean financials, strong reporting, and better margin visibility can protect valuation far before a sale. And for high earners, it's a smart reminder that building value early creates better options later. Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed on your favorite platform. And if you find the show valuable, I'd really appreciate you leaving a quick review. Thanks so much. Enjoy.
Brought to you by Tailored Wealth, helping business leaders live their version of a rich life.
Welcome to another edition of the Making Sense of Your Money podcast, where we cut through the financial noise and help business leaders to make smart, confident money decisions. All right, Jeff, thanks for joining the Making Sense of Your Money podcast. I'm excited to have you today, man.
I'm excited too. I saw a couple of the older ones, and it's exciting to be here.
Yeah, you and I connected on LinkedIn and realized that we were right down the street from each other. So we've gotten a chance to know each other a little bit. And
It's kind of crazy. We found each other on LinkedIn. We were 5 minutes away. It was nuts.
Yeah, it's a small world, especially when we get connected through these great platforms, right? So I love your content on LinkedIn, and I like your story. So I'm excited to get into that. So why don't you start off by just giving us a brief overview of what you do today in your business and a little bit of your background and how you got to it.
Sure. So Jeff Glick, CPA. I worked in public accounting for 2 years to the day to get my license. Then I went to Merrill Lynch Realty, was an internal auditor. Then I went to Solomon Brothers and did a couple of things, did some hedging analysis. And then quickly I became an M&A manager where they were buying up energy-related assets. So I traveled all around the country, the world, to buy pipelines, salt domes, refineries, and et cetera. After that, became head of operations for foreign exchange and precious metals trading. Then I became the CFO of one of their spin-offs where they were selling precious metals to automobile manufacturers for their catalytic converters. At 30, I became CFO of a $500 million company. So obviously I had to fake it till I made it, and did that for about 16 years. We got that to about $2 billion. And then didn't know what I wanted to do anymore. I was getting bored. So what do you do when you have 2 kids in college and you just lost 30% of your college savings because of the '08 disaster? I started my own business called Start You Up, where I worked with a startup and emerging hedge funds, private equity funds, VCs as a fractional CFO and compliance officer. Did that for about 16 years, worked out great. And then wanted to do something else, got a little bored. And then I went into solar energy, didn't like that too much. And now I work with OCFO. I run their US operations there. They do basically what I was doing, but on a much larger scale. They've done 1,400 engagements in about 13 years in about 35 countries. So and what we do, basically bookkeeping, accounting, and fractional CFO for startup and emerging businesses, those that want to get bankable.
Let's talk about that. That's a topic that I wanted to hit on with you. So I'm
Okay.
glad you mentioned it. So becoming bankable, right? This is a deep topic that obviously for business owners, and many business owners anyways, not all, but many business owners, is a dream of theirs, a goal of theirs, and is sort of like the way to monetize the hard work that they've put in for many years. What does that look like? If you were advising a business owner on how they become bankable, what are the steps they need to go through? And how do they figure out like the right time frame, the right processes, the right actions to take prior to that?
Okay, so basically when we work with clients, they're getting ready for their first material financial transaction. They might have some debt, maybe a SBA loan, but that might not be material. They're looking to acquire a company, maybe merge with a company, get bought out. And when I say bankable, at least in your internal financial infrastructure, that means to make sure that your accounting and financial records are timely, accurate, consistent, track key metrics and benchmarks, and your reporting is strategic, which will help you manage the business. And what happens is if you go through due diligence and they're doing a due diligence on you and they start asking for, let me see your quarterly reports for the last 3 years, and you go, uh-oh, and you're not tracking margins, you're not doing any of that stuff. What happens is if you think you're worth 10x or 10 times EBITDA, they might
Right.
offer you 6 times because
Right.
there's an operational risk, or they might say, okay, we'll give you 10x, but it's going to be a 5-year payout because we're not sure what's going on. And they have to make an investment in your infrastructure. So by doing it in advance, you could do it slowly and you could build value from the inside. That's what we call it, building value from the inside.
Let's talk about that concept because I think that's a really fascinating one. Building value from the inside, right? I think way too many small business owners kind of decide that they want to sell. And then, when they're kind of close to being ready, they engage with a broker or put it on a marketplace or whatever the case may be. How do they build value from the inside before they ever get to the place where they're taking it to the outside, if you will?
Right. So what they do is, that's what I said, they take a look at their policies, procedures, internal controls. I mean, you could go on AI and download what you need to become a good investment target. And they're going to say you have to have what I said before, timely, accurate, and consistent reporting, tracking metrics. And so what you do is if you have time, you start slowly where you start looking at, oh, if I had to make this decision, what do I need? Where are my risks? You start looking at, let's say margin. Margin is
Yep.
an easy one. I'll ask an owner, what's your margin? And they'll say, oh, it's 50% on average. And I say, okay, how many are 75%? How many are 25%? And they look at me and go, I don't know. I go, well, don't you think you'd have a better business if you knew the 75s and the 25s and figure out on the 25s why? Are you not charging enough? Or maybe your team is not doing well on, if it's, let's say it's a construction project. Maybe that there's one construction supervisor that's always on those, or it could be the salesperson. I don't know. Or worse, you don't even have the infrastructure to allocate labor and materials. And even worse, you don't have a materials inventory system where you don't know what's going to your projects and what's going out the back door. And and you say that to a company and they just stare at you and they go, I'm like, oh my goodness, how do I fix this? And and I tell them that somebody like us, we're in an investment. We're not an expense. You have to look at it as an investment in your business, because just throwing out numbers, if you have a free cash flow of, let's say, $2 million a year, it's a good business, but you have to take a 3x
Yep.
discount, $6 million. If you spent $200,000 to fix it, that's a 30x return. You should do that every day. And they go, oh,
Every day of the
okay,
week. Every day of the week
tell
and
me what I
twice on
should do to get
Sunday.
this right. And then at the end of this, they have a better business. They could be making more money and they're building franchise value. That's the key. And someone's going to say, okay, this is a clean company. I reduced the operational risk. Risk is okay. Operational risk, you can't afford that. And, and the person who's buying you is a fund. Their LPs expect a certain level of professionalism in their downstream companies, in their portfolio companies.
Right. Um, you mentioned when this is done, like what the results look like and what they can mean from a evaluation and a multiple perspective. How long does it typically take to kind of get these things right for a small to medium sized business? I often speak with business owners and they may share with me, some of them are clients that share with me their strategy or their options or their long-term plan as far as potentially wanting to sell the business. What's the time frame that they should start to engage with someone like the folks on your team to start to get this right?
I would think at least 1 year, maybe 2 years in advance, because anybody who's going to do due diligence is going to ask for 1 to 2 years of financial statements. They're going to ask for 1 to 2 years of tax returns. And if the tax return bottom line number doesn't agree to the financial statements, which it might not, there's tax basis, there's book basis, there should be a reconciliation or a bridge between the two. because
Right.
maybe your tax preparer is making adjustments on the tax side, but not telling you on the accounting side. And it also might mean you have to elevate your staff as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So speaking of staff, do most of the businesses that your team works with, do they have finance team members on staff? Is your team sort of augmenting what the internal team is already doing, or are they serving as that finance function for the business?
Could be all the above, to be honest. So they could have a CFO, but the CFO is tied because they don't allocate enough funds to them. So because of what we do on a fractional basis and offshore basis, we can give them the help and aid at a reduced cost, let's say. So they could use us as a tool to get them right. On the other hand, some businesses, their bookkeeper slash controller has been there for
Yep.
20 years, does a decent job, but they don't understand the sophistication that's needed. They might track three key metrics: cash, accounts receivable, accounts payable, and are they going to make payroll the next week? Or will the owner have to write a check? And that's not the way to run a business, or when you go out to market your business. If you plan on keeping this in the family forever, that's okay. But and then it
Yep.
becomes a lifestyle business. But if you want to get to that next level, you need to figure out, do you have the internal staff, or maybe hire somebody like us as the CFO, and we become the trusted advisor to management, and we help steer the accountants in the right way. It all depends.
Yeah. Okay. What trends have you seen recently with respect to M&A activity? Is there anything that private equity type buyers are looking for more now than ever in today's environment?
What they look for is a sophistication of technology to a certain extent.
Okay.
Because when they do their due diligence, they're not always going in and checking every number. They'll download it, they'll do some analysis, and they might have an algorithm, and they're checking to see a couple of things very quickly. Are expenses on average about the same percentage of sales? Is it being managed? And so a lot of things they're doing that they're not on site rolling up their sleeves like I used to do. It's tailored to that. The other thing that they're doing is, are you looking at other risks? Are you looking at your insurance risk? Are you looking at your salaries? Are they in line with the market? So there's a lot of areas that need to be looked at, and they've done that in the past, but now that they're using other tools to help them do it quicker and faster.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. You mentioned, we're going to shift gears a little bit and kind of talk about your story and your view on all things personal finance. You mentioned the impact that the 2007 and 2008 credit and financial crisis had on you personally. Can you unpack that a little bit for us and tell me maybe what you learned from that really challenging time in our country and in our markets?
Right. So fortunately, I had college savings. Fortunately, I live in a nice house in a nice area in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it all went down 30%. And I'm a finance person. I worked in
Right.
trading for a long time. And what you have to do is look and see how much cash I need today, tomorrow, and how much can I keep in the market, and hopefully it comes back. So, I put our funds into two buckets: college and retirement or living. College was critical because I had a son starting college in 2010, and I had a son who's starting college in 2012. And I say I'm an accountant, so I saved money, and because we wanted to provide our children with a great college education,
Yeah.
but we just got 30 to 40% taken away from it. And how are we going to make that up? And my wife and I said, we don't want all of it to go away. So we turned that all into cash, because at least that was safe and they could still go to college. And then you start thinking, what's the next crash and how am I going to be better prepared for it? And you kind of learn you just have to be conservative. You can't roll the dice on everything. At least me. That's me. And as you get older, now you worrying. I'm a sandwich generation child.
Okay.
I have parents and in-laws who are living to their 90s and late 80s. I have my children who are going to college, ed school, grad school. So I have that issue, and they're getting married and all that stuff. And we all hyperventilate about our children and are they doing the right thing with their money? And then I have myself and my wife where one day we want to retire and we want to have a certain lifestyle. And it's
Mhm.
just sometimes it's overwhelming. And what you have to do is take a deep breath and kind of sit down and talk amongst the two of you and figure out where do you want to be in 5 to 10 years. And I thought I'd be retired at 55. That didn't happen because of
Okay.
'08. And then 2012, something else blew up, and there's blowups every place. But if you keep your money in the long term, you'll be okay. So no one's gonna run out benefit
Y-
for me. But it's people stay awake all night being concerned about that stuff. And
Yeah.
do I take Social Security now? Do I wait? Do I turn my stuff into a Roth IRA now, or do I wait? I mean, there's a lot of stuff to think about. And thank
That's
God
why
there's
people
people
like
like
me have a
you.
job, Jeff. Yeah.
Excuse me?
That's why people like me have a
I
job.
know. It's
Yeah.
confusing. And I'm a decently smart individual, and there's a lot of different things that you have to consider, and every time you open up something in the newspaper, one guy's telling you one thing, one guy's telling you something else, and after a while, you just put your head in the sand and pray, which is wrong.
Yes, I think my advice to people is always don't let headlines drive your decisions because there's more headlines
Mhm.
today than there ever have been. Even if you think about like the financial crisis of 2007 and 2008, good thing we didn't have social media back then, right? Or at
Oh my
least it was
god.
in its very infancy stages, right? Like, good thing we didn't have that
Or Fox
because that would have made
News
the
or
whole thing.
CNBC or
Yeah, exactly.
Bloomberg, and
Yeah.
because no one really understood it. They just knew that these banks issued a lot of mortgages and they're blowing up. But they didn't understand all the other issues around insurance and reinsurance. And unless you're in that business, you wouldn't sleep at night.
Well said. And you also articulated something. It's a concept that we call life driven investing, which is how do you invest different buckets of money for different objectives and goals within your life? So, what we always talk about with our clients is, well, if you've got the college savings money per se, right? And that college is 2 years away. Well, you're going to invest that in very differently than you are retirement, right? Because
Mhm.
retirement might be 10 plus years away where you've got the time to let, the market correct itself. And we know that, 2009 and on was a great market, right? So, if you were able to stay the course, you were able to make back what you lost. But the biggest risk that any investor has is called sequence of returns because when you need the money, if you need the money in 2 years, well, who cares that the market recovered 5, 10 years after that, right? You needed the money in 2 years. So you
Yes.
have to invest and you need to strategize those buckets of money very differently than you do the money that you have longer term periods of time to actually let the market do its thing and let time be on your side. So I
It's
think you articulated a really interesting point there.
it's very confusing, and you really have to have a plan. And unfortunately, most people don't have the financial resources to make a plan. That's the college is coming. I just lost money. Maybe you lost your job. I mean, your life could turn upside down very quickly at that point. But if you have before the last 3 weeks, life was a little better in investing, and you could plan. If you have, like a 10-year-old kid and a 15-year-old child and you're 45, 50 years old, you could really plan and say, this is where I want to be. I'm going to, put, take some of that money, put it in. I don't know if they have still have Ogama accounts. I don't know if they still
They
have
do.
that.
Yep, they do.
Right. And so put some money in there, change the balance instead of 80-20, make it 50-50 or whatever you do as they get closer to college, because I don't have the time. I can't make it up. And then there's house values and all the stuff. Like I've owned 3 houses. I lost money on 2 of them. Go figure. It's timing.
Yeah. Timing is the key point there. It absolutely is the key point. All right. So you mentioned you thought you'd be retired at 55. We always ask this because our company's purpose is to help our clients design and live a rich life. Today, where you're at now, what does your version of a rich life look like?
See my family a lot, spending time with them, doing some travel with my wife. I don't have grand ambitions that I don't want to travel every month. I don't want to, but everybody has a different view of it. having grown up in the Bronx, I've lived a good life, a life that I didn't even know
Yep.
existed. So from that perspective, if I take back the last 40 years, I've had a good life and it's okay. And if I just keep the same lifestyle, I'm better than most, not as good of a lifestyle as a few. So
Well said. Well said. All right. So now we're going to shift gears and you are officially entering the lightning round. All right. So we're going to,
okay, let me get ready.
yeah, get yourself ready.
Okay.
I hope you're prepared. All right. So I got a few questions for you. And the only thing that we ask is that you give us the first thought that comes to your mind. Could be a one word answer, could be a long drawn out thought. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Let's do it. One meal for the rest of your life. What is it?
Pizza.
Pizza. All right. So you live in Connecticut, which is now being marketed as the pizza capital of the world. So where are you going? What's your pizza spot if you have to go someplace?
Castle Hill Pizza in the Bronx.
All right. I like it. I like it. All right. So that's from your roots. I like it.
Yes.
What's one tool or piece of technology other than your phone or your computer that you can't live without?
Phone on my computer.
Could be hardware, it could be software, or anywhere in between.
TV.
TV. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Is there a book that's influenced your career or your life significantly?
Yes. I forgot who wrote it. It's How to Influence Others. It's by, forgot his name. He used to have all these groups where it teaches how to talk to people and
Yep.
how to
Yep.
make
Yep.
how to make friends and influence others.
How to make friends and influence others.
I
Yep.
took that class when I
That's
was
a
at
classic.
Merrill Lynch, and it taught me how to network, how to be proud of yourself, and how to have self-confidence. And
Those are big.
so, believe it or not, when I was 21, I still stuttered a lot, and I don't stutter at all now because I built up self-confidence in myself. I got over all the issues with the way I spoke and my tongue and my lips and all that, but it was in my head. But to
Right.
have self-confidence in yourself goes a long way.
Very cool. Very cool. Good for you. What's one habit or process that you subscribe to that's had an impact on your success?
I speak to everybody.
Okay. Tell us about that.
You know, you don't know who knows who. I'm a
Yeah.
friendly person, drives my kids crazy. But, I speak to somebody on the train, at a restaurant, and, maybe I might cross the line a little, but, I met one of my best clients. He was shoveling compost and and he didn't have his shovel. I said, "Hey, you want to use my shovel?" And he turned out to be a money manager for the Kuwaiti Investment Authority about 20 years ago.
Wow.
He was a sovereign wealth advisor. Now he's one of my best friends and a client for all those years.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool.
You don't know who knows who.
Well said. Well said. What's one bucket list item that you've already accomplished? Something you've checked off the bucket list.
I have happy and healthy children.
Good for you. Best money under $1,000 you've ever spent.
Best money under $1,000 I ever spent. I've done that a lot. I think when I took my children and my wife on a balloon ride
Oh,
in
very cool.
into the
Very cool.
mountains, I think that was an amazing experience, and it was just us in it. It was very cool, and it was like a memory that we still all talk about.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, those are priceless. Is there a purchase or investment that has improved your quality of life?
Besides my wife's engagement ring,
That could be it, by the way. You get
all
big
right,
kudos if you stick with that.
that's it then. And my wife's engagement ring. How's that?
All right, very good. So we got to make sure that we get this recording to your wife as soon as possible. All right, good stuff. Good
Maybe I'll
stuff.
play it on
All
our
right,
anniversary
there you go. Oh, there you go. Perfect. Perfect. Is your anniversary coming up?
in June.
All
Thir-
right, so there you go. Well,
39 years, I think. Yeah, 39 years.
okay, very good, very good. We'll figure it out before then how long it's
Okay,
been, and then you can play this episode for her. That's
there you
perfect.
go. I'll take that clip and I'm good.
Yep, that'll be the perfect clip for you to use. Last one. If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Enjoy your experience along the way. Having the biggest house isn't always the most important thing in life, and trying not to live on the hamster wheel.
All right, I love it. I love it. That's really good
Yep.
advice for our listeners. And then if our listeners want to connect with you, collaborate, potentially work with you,
Sure.
and learn more about OCFO, how can they find you? What's the best place to connect with you?
A couple of ways. They could go on ocfo.com. reach out there. They could go on LinkedIn, Jeffrey Glick, or they could email me at jeffrey@ocfo.com.
Very cool. All right. Awesome. Jeff, thanks for sharing your insights today. Really enjoyed the conversation.
No problem.
Appreciate you coming on. That's it for the episode. You can find our podcast along with our newsletter and YouTube channel all for free at makingsenseofyourmoney.com. And as always, prioritize your version of a rich life.
Take care. Thank you very much.
Awesome, Jeff.